All right. Hey, everybody. It's Gabriel Sedlak. I want to tell you a little bit of how our journey began when we started off, when Holly and I started. So I was driving through this area, and I just want to share that just for a couple minutes. So let me get out of the car, and I'm going to point some things out to you, okay? Here we go. All right. So, well, I'm in Brentwood, Tennessee, okay? And I never forget, it was the day after Christmas, 2004, and it was snowing. We had just been in East Tennessee, mind you, with a 1995 white Camaro, two-wheel drive, with very, very slick tires on it. And this whole journey began, and I'm going to be very abbreviated because we could go into, we're going to write about this, we're going to share more about it, but basically some friends of ours, the Densons, said in passing, it was a passing statement. They said, listen, if I could live anywhere, they said, if we could live anywhere, because they've been all over the country, they said, if you're ever in Tennessee and you're ever in an area called Brentwood and Franklin, you've got to stop by. And so we are coming through on the Interstate 65 is right here. It's right up this way. We were coming south. We had just come through Nashville. It was snowing. It was very overcast. We're coming south, and we see the sign that says Brentwood, Tennessee. So we're like, wait a minute. And something flashed in our mind of a quick statement conversation that was made months and months earlier. And we said, is that the Brentwood and Franklin that the Densons were talking about? And so Holly and I pull over. We had $120 to our names. We didn't have jobs. We were starting our journey. There were impossibilities all around us. And so we pulled over with this car with bald tires in the day after Christmas, '04. And $120. We pull over, and this is, if you look behind me, this is Andrew's Cadillac, right? Right here is Mainstay Suites. If I can point at it, Mainstay Suites. So we pulled in. I pulled the car right here. I know the parking space. I still know the parking space next to this van is right here. And we went inside, and because we were tired, we had enough for a one-night stay. So we put our bags in there. We put our bags. We didn't really have anything. We didn't have bags. And then we walked outside, and we went across the street to this parking lot over here, and we literally just held hands and prayed. We walked up to Cadillac up there, and we're looking at the Cadillacs and saying, wow, can you even imagine? Can you imagine what it would be like to have a new Cadillac? And we were walking through this parking lot, holding hands and praying, and just say, Lord, what are you going to do with our lives? You put us together. We're meant to be together. You moved heaven and earth for us. And here we are, $120 to our names, 422 credit scores, 422. We had just the stuff in the hatchback, a jacket, and just a few items of clothing, and a whole lot of love and a whole lot of faith. And so we had enough to stay that night. And the next day, I remember I had 25 cents left in a zip pouch, in a little zip bag, 25 cents. I'd put all the rest of the gas in the car. We didn't have enough to stay at Mainstay Suites anymore, but the next night wasn't due yet. And we just started driving around Brentwood, and long and the short of it, we met people that said, why are you guys here in town? We told them a bit of our story, and they said, you know what, we just feel very strongly that we're supposed to help you. And it became a joke because, not a joke, but it became something that Holly and I would just cry and laugh over, because time after time after time after time, people said, I don't know about what I'm doing right now, but I feel so shaken in my heart. I feel like you need to follow me to the ATM. I want to bless you with some money. You're obviously, God's doing something in your lives. So from the job, and Holly was offered a job because I was looking at apartments. We didn't have the credit. We had no money, no jobs, no nothing. I was looking at apartments down in Brentwood, and in Franklin, and I see a gentleman named Bill. And Bill, if you're watching this, you changed our life, my friend. He was in a Porsche, and he had his hood up, and he was leaning out the window looking to try to drive because he had it filled with trash, and he was taking it to the dumpster. And Holly was not in a, we were having a tough time. We were arguing a little bit because here we are praying, and but because your hearts, we're just dealing with a lot, and we were just frustrated. We weren't arguing, but we were just really frustrated. And she's, why are we looking at apartments? I don't want to look at apartments. I said, I want to look at apartments. And so we get to the apartments down there, and see this guy taking trash. I get the keys. I'm looking at apartments. We don't have money, no credit, no nothing, no jobs, no nothing, no support, nobody we could call. In a new city, we literally had to grab our bags and drive home. And he said, so I started talking to him. She's, oh great, you're going to talk to this guy. So I start talking to him. He goes, Florida, and he sees the Florida tag on our Camaro, and he goes, what are you guys, from Florida? We said, yeah, well, we're up here. We're not really sure why. We're just kind of prayerfully up here. And he goes, well, what do you do? And Holly said she was in lending and in mortgages. He goes, lending, mortgages? Well, my best friend's into mortgages right there at the dumpster of the apartments. And he says, are you looking for a job? And we said, well, we don't know. He says, well, I think his assistant just left. And long and short, that's an extraordinary testimony and story, how he blessed us. We ended up meeting a gentleman named Greg at a Starbucks right here in Brentwood. It was very emotional. Both of us were blessed. Greg was immensely blessed. We were blessed. And Holly became his assistant on the spot. And he worked things out for her, even financially. That was extraordinary. Another gentleman said, I've been saving up this money. I'm supposed to give it to you. Another the people at the apartment complex said, I don't understand this. The manager pulls me aside. She goes, I've never done this in my life, and I don't understand what's going on right now. She goes, but I'm shaking on the inside. My heart is beating inside my chest. She goes, I don't know what it is, but I feel like you guys are supposed to live here. And she goes, I'm going to sign off and allow you guys through. But you're going to need a month's rent to move in. Well, we didn't have any money. Well, then another person stepped up out of the blue that had never stepped up like that before or helped, and said, I feel like I'm supposed to give you enough to go into your apartment. We were at the mailbox, and a woman's conversation gave us our first chair because we had no furniture. We had an empty apartment, gave us our first chair. So we'd eat pizza, madly in love, eating pizza, sitting on the floor with one chair. And I'll tell you what, guys, I think we had more with one chair, a pizza on the floor, and the love we had for each other, knowing that God had rushed our lives. And because of a passing statement months earlier in the dead of winter, after Christmas, everything is shut down, coming in with just enough money, just being here, door open, door open, door open, door open. It set our whole lives in order. I got a job then, and she and I worked a while until our business showed up. And then we took that and ran with it, and all the countless lives that have been changed all over the world because we said yes. And so I just want to encourage you guys, wherever you are in your journey, even if you're sitting on the floor with a pizza and no furniture, and you're in love with someone, or all you have is love in your heart, or it just might just be you and God and there is nobody else. You can start with nothing. We came with nothing, and out of nowhere, answers came. Answer. And this went on for the first couple months. Everywhere we went. We were at a Kinko's, and a gentleman says, I don't know what's going on, but I'm supposed to bless you. I was in the mall walking around one day, and a gentleman named Lane said, we were talking about just Bible stuff and God and life and what he did, and he says, I don't know what this is. He says, but give me your phone number. And anyway, he calls me a little bit later and says, you know what? Do you guys have groceries? I'll never forget that. He says, I need you to meet me at Kroger's. And we pulled up to Kroger's, and he says, I want you to fill your cart and don't be scarce about it. Came home. Of course, Holly was crying because brought home bags of groceries when there was no food in our apartment with no furniture and a pizza. So I'm just here to tell you guys, step out in the impossible, no matter where you are, what your circumstances are, because with you and God, you have a majority. And all you need is faith to step out. Many times, if we had, we couldn't have designed that process if we tried, and everything was laid out before us. And we'll go into more detail about our journey later. It's really hot out here today, super hot. But in the snow, in the dead of winter, love for each other, bald tires, a Camaro somebody gave us, 422 credit scores, $120 to our names, 25 cents left in a zip bag. Then we ended up staying here for another week because that all worked out financially. Her job, provision, 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 provision. And we never went home, guys. We never went home. Our friends eventually sent 2 small boxes with everything we owned in it to us. So I want to encourage you today. Somebody needed to hear that. And I'll go into more detail as I run into spots and I have memories. I'll make sure I go live on social media with it. So anyway, you guys are a blessing, and I hope that's encouraging you today. So remember, do it scared. Do it scared. Don't be afraid to ask God for help. Don't put yourself in judgment, feeling like if you have to have everything worked out and all your ducks in a row, and you've made 50 mistakes before. You made 1,000 mistakes before. When your children, any of you that have kids will know this, it doesn't matter how many times, sorry, I'm sweating. Woo. It doesn't matter how many times my little ones reach up and put their arms out and say, "Daddy, hold me." I pick them up every time. I promise you that's the best theology you'll ever hear. Every time you lift your arms up and say, "Daddy, hold me," He'll pick you up every single time, without judgment and only in love. It's an uncertain world, but He's absolute. And just remember that. It's not about works, guys. It's about grace. It's not about having all your ducks in a row and having more good than bad with the mystical scales at the end of your life. Every time you lift your arms up and say, "Daddy, hold me," He picks you up, and any good parent would do the same thing, and that is who He is. And so I just wanted to give you a little glimpse of our history, and just the impossibility. You do it with nothing. So anyway, I'm done. I got so much to talk about. We're gonna write, like I said, extensively about it soon, but you just had to hear that, guys. So anyway, blessings. I'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye.